just a word that needs a saying. Carry it on, carry it on. Hi, I'm Jim.
And I'm Judd.
Go ahead.
And this is a podcast called Carry It On, second installment about the Vietnam War era and the songs that we learned and played back then.
Yes, and let's also remember that Karen is here as our director. There she is. So here we go. All right. You got a song you want to start with, or should we just talk a little bit about what the era was like?
Well, let's talk for a minute, but then I'll play Big Muddy.
All right, that's a good
song
to start with. Yep.
So, part of coming of age in our late teens, early 20s was the Vietnam War in the background or the foreground of everything we were doing. I remember in 8th grade in school, I don't remember what year that was, but Vietnam was just starting, and the 8th grade science teacher looked out at the class and he said to us, you know, I was in the 8th grade when World War II started, and I didn't think it would ever make any difference to me. But watch out, he said. Someday you guys will be looking at the draft. And we're 8th graders, what do we know? And sure enough, a few years later we were. He was exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't think people understand who didn't live through it what a big deal the draft was for folks. You know, we can tell our own stories and, you know, some of the other stories of other people, but, you know, it was, if you were drafted back then, that meant you got put into the army, and chances were pretty good that you'd go over and be the people who got killed. So it was a big deal. It was a big deal for any male. I think that to the extent that there were, you know, sisters and girlfriends, it was a big deal to women of the era as well.
Yeah, I would say not only the people that got killed, but the people that did the killing.
Yeah.
You know, the hands that fired the guns.
Yeah. So it was you know, and the other thing, we'll talk more in other episodes that we do about other social justice movements that were going on at the same time, but they really intersected in a lot of ways, and people found that by the questioning that they did of the government's purposes in Vietnam infected the way people viewed everything else in terms of social justice issues. And, you know, I know that at the end of his life, Martin Luther King was heavily understood the connection between racism and the war effort. So I wanted to say one other thing. We just talked about this a little before. I didn't want this podcast to be an overtly political screed. You know, I suspect Judd's politics and mine are pretty similar. But actually, I wanted this to be more about music. But I think that I can't divorce my tastes in music and songs I like from the political content of some of them. And, you know, not every song I play and not all of my favorite songs are political songs. But they form a big part of what makes me musically. So we'll see where this goes. We got a lot of songs to sing.
Well, when I was 8th grade and around there, I only knew one person who was against the war, and that was my mother. And she was also the one who got me listening to music, because there was always music around the house. And then in 1966, I went to Wales, to Britain, for 2 years, the last 2 years of high school. And when I got there, I only knew one person who was for the war. And he was another American named Steve Bushnell. His family made Bushnell binoculars. Like infrared sights for the Army, and they made a fortune off that. I wanted to start off playing a song.
I was going to ask you. Pete Seeger was probably one of the people that your mom had you listen to.
We heard the children's records all the time around the house, and other folk music records. But my mother would comment occasionally after the Pete Seeger record, it's a shame they won't allow that man on television.
Yeah.
Because he was blacklisted because he wouldn't testify in front of the House Un-American Activities Committee in Congress, but really because they said he was a communist, which in fact he was, or had been.
Yeah.
But this being a free country where we have free speech, that should have been all right. But it wasn't. So he wasn't on television for probably over a decade, around a decade. And then the Smothers Brothers, who were comedians but who had also been part of the folk scene, had a very popular variety show on CBS, and they had guests on, and they invited Pete Seeger to be on, and they pre-recorded him singing The Big Muddy, which is the song I'm going to play, and it's such an allegory to the war in Vietnam that CBS wouldn't show it, and the Smothers Brothers made a huge stink, and so a few months later they actually had it on, and he played The Big Muddy, and Pete Seeger got to be on television again.
So you're doing this fifth fret?
It's in, I think it's D minor.
Yeah, fifth fret A minor. Yeah.
Was 1942. I was a member of a good platoon. We were on maneuvers in Louisiana one night by the light of the moon. It's a D minor seventh fingering. Captain said we're gonna ford that river, and that's when it all begun. We were knee deep in the big muddy, and the big fool said push on. Sergeant said, "Sir, are you sure this is the best way back to the base?" "Sergeant, come on, I forded this river about a mile above this place. Well, we might get soggy, but just keep slogging, we'll soon be on dry ground." Oh Lord, we were waist deep in the big muddy, the big fool said to push on. Sergeant said, "Sir, with all this equipment, the men aren't able to swim." "Sergeant, don't be nervous, Nellie," the captain said to him. "What we need now's a little determination. Follow me, man, I'll lead on." Oh, we were waist deep in the big muddy, and the big fool said to push on. Just then a cloud covered the moon, and we heard a gurgling cry. A few seconds later the captain's helmet was all that floated by. The sergeant shouted, "Turn around, men, I'm in charge from now on." And we just got out of the big muddy with the captain dead and gone. Well, we stripped and dived, and we found his body stuck in the old quicksand. Seems the river was quite a bit deeper than the place he'd once before been. Another stream, it joined the big muddy about a half mile from where we'd gone. We were lucky to get out of the big muddy when the big fool said to call any moral, you can do that for yourself. And I'm still walking and I'm still talking and I've still got my health. But every morning when I read the news, that same old feeling comes on. Lord, we're knee deep in the big muddy, and the big fool says to push on. The big fool says to push on.
That's a great song.
That was Pete's allegory to Vietnam, and he was absolutely right.
Yeah. I'm going to sing a Phil Oakes song. And Phil Oakes, for those of you who don't know, wrote a lot of really wonderful songs that I love. But he ended up, I think he was mentally ill, but he couldn't stand the fact that he wasn't as popular as Bob Dylan, and ultimately he committed suicide. Even though he some of the songs he wrote were incredibly wonderful. This one is sort of funny. It's not one of his best songs, but this is the Draft Dodger Rag, and it has pretty much all of the ways you could get out of the draft. They had a system of deferrals, or that's what they called them, right? Wasn't it deferrals?
Yeah.
So if you were sick, you got a different classification. If you were going to school, you had a different classification. If you were the last surviving child of a household that lost other people, you got a deferral. For a while, you got deferrals depending on the kind of jobs that you did, and for a while you got deferrals for school. And so
bone spurs.
Well, there were lots of medical conditions, but the thing about the draft is in a way sort of analogous to the way it is now with the all volunteer army, which is all of the rich people and powerful people, their sons never had to be drafted into the worst parts of the war, and it was all poor people and people of color. And now there's the situation is folks who have no other options. The volunteer army is an option. Anyway, that's too political.
Yep.
This is Draft Dodger.
Absolutely true. It was the exemptions were arranged, deferrals were arranged so that people who got them were generally in the upper class, university, or had doctors they could get to say something or whatever.
Yep. And so that's why many of our leaders, like Al Gore, never went in. He got some cushy job as I can't remember what. I think he worked in an airplane factory, airfield or something. And
George Bush joined the National Guard and then never showed up.
Yeah. So we have all of these people sending us off to war who never decided to go themselves. Anyway, this is Draft Dodger Rag. Oh, it mentions the other thing about these songs, that they're really topical. Judd's song wasn't so topical. This one is, in the sense that it has people who most folks have never heard of in the song. So it talks about Senator Dodd. Senator Dodd was a Republican senator from Connecticut. I don't know that he was particularly pro-war, but I don't remember that. But that's who he was. And then it mentions Castro, and you may remember Castro as the leader of Cuba for a long time. And it mentions Zhou Enlai, who used to be the Chinese leader around the same time as Mao Zedong. So anyway, here's the song. Oh, that's right, it starts in G.
I'm gonna let you play it. This is enough.
I'm just a typical American boy from a typical American town. Oh, I believe in God and Senator Dodd and keeping old Castro down. But when it came my time to serve, I knew better dead than red. And when I got to my old draft board, buddy, this is what I said. Sarge, I'm only 18, I got a ruptured spleen, and I always carry a purse. I got eyes like a bat and my feet are flat and my asthma's getting worse. Whoa, think of my career, my sweetheart dear, and my poor old invalid aunt. Besides, I ain't no fool, I'm going to school, and I'm working in a defense plant. I got a dislocated disc and a rocked up back, and I'm allergic to flowers and bugs. And when bombshell hits, I get epileptic fix, and I'm addicted to 1,000 drugs. I got the weakness woes, I can't touch my toes, I can hardly reach my knees. And if the enemy ever came close to me, well, I'd probably start to sneeze. Sarge, I'm only 18, I got a ruptured spleen, and I always carry a purse. I got eyes like a bat, my feet are flat, and my asthma's getting worse. Whoa, think of my career, my sweetheart dear, and my poor old invalid aunt. Besides, I ain't no fool, I'm going to school, and I'm working in a defense plant. I hate Joe and Lion, I hope he dies, but one thing you gotta see, that someone's gotta go over there, and that someone isn't me. So I wish you well, Sarge, give 'em hell. Hey, kill me 1,000 or so. And if you ever get a war without blood and gore, well, I'll be the first to go. Sarge, I'm only 18, I got a ruptured spleen, and I always carry a purse. I got eyes like a bat, my feet are flat, and my asthma's getting worse. Oh, think of my career, my sweetheart dear, and my poor old invalid aunt. Besides, I ain't no fool, I'm going to school, and I'm working in a defense plant.
Yeah, I remember that song very well.
Well, I don't know your draft story, but I'll tell you my draft story.
Tell me yours, and I'll tell you mine.
Well, you know, there were. I have to tell you, our friend Fred. His draft story is he spent a year in England as well, and while he was there, he played basketball and he hurt his knee. So and had knee surgery, and it was pretty serious.
Yeah.
It's pretty serious injury. So he got ready for his pre-induction physical by going and bowling and putting all of the pressure on his bad knee for like 10 hours. So he went in, and his knee was like a balloon. And the doc said, you know, we could probably get you in if you really wanted to. And he said, well, no, I don't think so. So that was his deferral.
I never knew that about Fred.
Yeah. I didn't get a deferral. And I was actually drafted. I went to the pre-induction physical that I did do, and I decided at the pre-induction physical that there's no way I could ever serve in the military, given the way that people were treated there. I mean, we were treated like animals. So I got drafted, and I got my draft notice after I graduated from college. I was the first class of the draft lottery, so I had a low enough number so that I got picked for the winner. So on the day that I was supposed to report for induction, I flew off to Europe, and I had originally thought that I would stay in Europe and not come back, but I decided after spending about 6 months there and actually never feeling more American than when I was in Europe, I decided to come back. And so I ended up getting convicted of draft dodging or draft evasion or whatever it was. Not that it did. Fortunately, I was lucky. The judge that I had at the time had decided that all of us who didn't want to go were correct. So I got community service instead of having to actually go to jail. But that's my draft story.
Well, I got CO, conscientious objector status.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was, throughout life there have been guardian angels looking over me. I don't know why, because I certainly haven't done anything to particularly deserve it. But I had worked at a summer camp in New Hampshire, Bristol, New Hampshire, and the director was a man who came from the church named William Hart, and he was a great camp director. He was great with kids, a wonderful, wonderful man, and actually quite a musician. Keyboards, played organ in church, but had been a pastor, I think. And I had long talks with him about war and my feelings, and I'd learned a lot. This was after I came back from Britain, and I'd learned a lot because when I went to Britain, you know, as I say, nobody was for the war. Everyone was against. I was in a room with 5 other kids. 3 of them claimed to be communists. And I thought communists were a small group of people who lived in a room in the Kremlin and plotted world domination. And here these kids. But so I had these long talks with William Hart, and I got him to write a letter for me when I applied for CO status. I mean, I had the talks before I ever thought of getting CO status, but I knew I'd talked with him a lot, and so I had him write me a letter. And it was only then that I found out his job in World War II had been investigating conscientious objectors.
Oh my gosh.
For the FBI. And he put that all in his letter, and how sincere
that's
I
great.
was. And that's how I got conscientious objector status. I had no idea that's what he'd done.
So did you have to do anything? I mean, there was a number of conscientious objector statuses, you know, where they had you do, you know, some special stuff instead of actually.
It would have been alternative service. I went to my draft physical because even though you're a conscientious objector, you still had to go to the physical.
Yep.
So if I'd had bone spurs, I wouldn't have had to do alternate service.
Right.
But I got deferred medically for 6 months. I had to come back. And in that 6-month time period, they stopped the draft. So I simply dedicated my life to legal services and went on from there.
Well, you know, it's funny because that's sort of the way I sort of decided that I was going to become a lawyer when I was out of the country, and you know, for pretty much the same reasons. You got another song? I'm thinking of another song. Speaking of, if I can remember the name of it.
You want me to play one while you think?
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
I'll just play a little bit of the song. This is another Pete Seeger song that I thought of when I was, and I probably don't know that many verses, but I'll see what I remember. If you love your Uncle Sam, bring 'em home, bring 'em home. Bring 'em back from Vietnam, bring 'em home, bring 'em home. If you love the land of the free, bring 'em home, bring 'em home. Bring 'em back from overseas, bring 'em home, bring 'em home. Make the general sad, I know. Bring 'em home, bring 'em home. They just want to attack a foe, bring 'em home, bring 'em home. They don't use the right weaponry, bring 'em home, bring 'em home. To guarantee real security, bring 'em home, bring 'em home. We need teachers, books and schools, bring 'em home, bring 'em home. Just the good old golden rule, bring 'em home, bring 'em home. There were 10,000 verses to this, but I can't really remember them all. In fact, I can't remember any more, so I'll just
sing the first verse again.
If you love your Uncle Sam, bring 'em home, bring 'em home. Bring 'em back from Vietnam, bring 'em home, bring 'em home.
That's a good one. So you're talking about you know, your friends in England. So I have another Donovan song.
Oh, good.
The Ballad of the Crystal Man.
Yeah.
See if I can remember it. How to play it. Walk along and talk along and live your lives quite freely. But leave our children with their toils of peppermint and candy. For eagle, I don't want your wings, I don't want your freedom, in a lie. Your thoughts, they are of harlequin, your speeches of quicksilver. I read your faces like a poem, kaleidoscope of hate words. For eagle, I don't want your wings, I don't want your freedom in a lie. As you fill your glasses with the wine of murdered Negroes, thinking not of beauty that spreads like morning sun glow. For eagle, I don't want your wings, I don't want your freedom in a lie. On the quilted battlefield of soldiers dazzling made of toy tin, the big bomb like a child's hand could sweep them dead just so to win. For eagle, I don't want your wings, I don't want your freedom in a lie. Vietnam, your latest game, you're playing with your blackest queen. Damn your souls, I'll curse your grins, I stand here with a faded dream. For eagle, I don't want your wings, I don't want your freedom in a lie. Eagle, I don't want your wings, I don't want your freedom in a lie. I think part of the, this song sort of reminded me that part of the reason that I felt so strongly about Vietnam is how hypocritical our government was then and has been ever since. I mean, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter if they're Democrats in power, Republicans in power. It's the hypocrisy is just amazing. It was agreed that Vietnam would have an election, and we prevented the election from happening because we knew that our side would lose, and it's like, oh, we're supposedly freedom gung ho, let's make sure votes matter, unless we're going to lose, and it sounds like Republicans today. We don't want to have free elections in which everybody votes, because if you do, they're not going to vote for you, and that's that was just throughout that period. All you had to do was label somebody a communist, and automatically they were the devil, and that was the end of it. I mean, in fact, Ho Chi Minh had a lot of positive feelings about the U.S. in a lot of ways before we refused to have the elections happen.
What's amazing to me is that we went into Vietnam on transparent, poor justifications and a straightforward lie about being attacked in the Gulf of Tonkin.
Yeah.
We went into Iraq a generation or two later based on a transparent, silly rationale and a lie.
Yeah.
And Putin is now in the Ukraine based on the silly, transparent rationale and a lie. It's all for geopolitical reasons that only the leaders feel they can understand, and so there's no reason to level with the rest of us.
Yeah.
And again, it's the poor, the young people and the poor, who suffer and have to do the killing and suffer the traumatic effects. So I'm going to do a little bit of Masters of War.
Yeah,
I'm just going to do a few verses. Because it's a long song.
Yeah. I'm gonna check and see if there's any. You do it on a fifth fret.
I'm doing it in D minor again.
Yeah.
I used to play it in actual D minor, but it's hard to hold your fingers
Yeah.
for the whole song.
Well, if you don't do one of the verses that I like, I'll just add that
Okay.
verse at the end.
This is Adley. I remember probably some of the verses, but I may not remember them accurately. Come, you masters of war, you that build the big guns, you that build the death planes, you that build all the bombs, you that hide behind walls, you that hide behind desks. I just want you to know I can see through your mask. That's a D minor finger up there. You that fasten all the triggers, all the others to fire, and then you sit back and watch while the death count gets higher. You hide in your mansions while young people's blood flows out of their bodies and mixes with the mud. Like a Judas of old, you lie and deceive. A war can be won, you want me to believe, but I see through your eyes, and I see through your brain, like I see through the water that runs down my drain. I know you will say I shouldn't talk out of turn. You must say that I'm young, you must say I'm unlearned. There's one thing I know, though I'm younger than you, not even Jesus could forgive what you do. And I'm going to sing the last verse, but if you have a verse you want to sing.
So you'll sing and let me ask one question or the other one.
I can.
Let's do that one.
Let me ask you one question. Is your money that good? Will it buy you forgiveness? Do you think that it could? I think you will find when your death takes its toll, all the money you made will never buy back your soul. And I hope that you die, that your death will come soon. I'll follow your casket by the pale afternoon, and I'll watch while you lower down into your deathbed, and I'll stand over your grave till I'm sure that you're dead.
That's another good one. I mean, it is, it's typical of sort of the Dylan really long songs.
Yeah, poor Dylan. I don't think he liked that song because he was so angry in the song. And of course, later on, he sort of changed his heart and mind a little bit. But his line I always remember was, I don't hate nothing at all except hatred. Which is a great little circular loop that you can't get out of.
Yeah. So I got the point you talked about the young people, old people sending young people off to the war reminded me of another Phil Oakes song. I Ain't Marching Anymore. You know that one? This is also.
Again, I don't know to play, but I'm
Yeah.
aware of the song.
Yeah. Oh, I marched to the Battle of New Orleans at the end of the early British War. A young land started growing, the young blood started flowing, but I ain't marching anymore. For I killed my share of Injuns in 1,000 different fights. I was there at the Little Big Horn. I heard many men crying, I saw many more dying, but I ain't marching anymore. Oh, it's always the old who lead us to the wars. It's always the young to fall. Oh, look at all we've won with a saber and a gun. Tell me, was it worth it all? For I stole California from the Mexican land, fought in the bloody Civil War. Yes, I even killed my brothers and so many others, but I ain't marching anymore. For I marched to the battle of the German trench, in a war that was bound to end all wars. Oh, I must have killed 1,000,000 men, but now they want me back again, but I ain't marching anymore. For it's always the old who lead us to the war. It's always the young to fall. Oh, look at all we've won with a saber and a gun. Tell me, was it worth it all? For I flew the final mission in the Japanese skies, set off the mighty mushroom roar. When I saw the cities burning, I knew that I was learning that I ain't marching anymore. Now the labor leaders screaming when they close the missile class. United Fruit screams at the Cuban shore. Call it peace or call it free reason, call it love or call it treason. I ain't marching anymore. No, I ain't marching anymore. No, I ain't marching anymore. That's always been one of my favorite songs.
That's a great song.
Actually.
That was a really rousing song. I've sung that many times with other people who played it. For some reason, I've never. But, it reminds me of again. Donovan sang Buffy St. Marie's song "Universal Soldier."
We should sing that one too.
I don't know if I've ever played that, but it just reminded me.
Well, I'll play it.
You can play it.
Yeah, Judd, you know me. I can play just about anything.
That's what I've always enjoyed, is the fact that Jim Couteau knows every song that's ever been written. I've got to reach way into the blues bag to come up with a song that Jim doesn't know, but then he knows the chords to them all. But you know what made me think that the unofficial GI anthem, I can't play this whole song, but we gotta get out of this place. If it's the last thing we ever do, we gotta get out of this place. Girl, there's a better life for me and you. I don't know the rest of the song,
Yeah,
but
I
that
don't know
was
any of the songs either.
talk about the people that have to go fight the wars.
Yeah.
Who are in a far more tragic situation,
Yeah.
And come home really scarred with it. But that was, we got to get out of this place.
Yeah. Well, speaking of scarred, PTSD became a thing.
Yeah.
Because of Vietnam, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of the people who came back who just were traumatized by what was going on over there. There is a song that I know about but have not learned yet, called "Rich Man's War, Poor Man's Fight," which is, that's the thing. It's like, let's send all of these poor people over to do our dirty work for us. So you want to do Universal Soldier, or you got another one that you can think of to do?
The only thing I'm thinking of now, because I brought up that if I play a song that you don't know, it's got to be a blues. This wasn't a Vietnam era song. This was written in the 1980s, but it's a blues song, and it was written by a man named Willie Dixon, who was the commercial genius behind Chess Records. He recorded Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters and all that genre of blues. And he wrote most of their songs, and he made a very successful company. He wasn't the owner of the company, but he was the brains behind the musical. He was like the musical director. But little known is that in the Korean War, he refused the draft, and as a entertainer, pretty well known in the black community, he went to jail, like Muhammad Ali a generation later, for refusing to fight because he had no quarrel with the Koreans. So this is a song he wrote in his older age, and after the invasion of Grenada, that great battle where the Americans took on,
the 186th most powerful country in the world.
Right. So this is the blues take on the. Where you can make great planes that can span the skies. You can turn the darkness into broad daylight. Make submarines that stay submerged for weeks. It just don't make sense that you can't make peace. You can make a transfusion that can save a life. You bring sight to the blind through other men's eyes. Allow the deaf to hear and the dumb to speak. It just don't make sense that you can't make peace. You take another dead man's heart and make another man live. You fly men to the moon and they come back thrilled. Why, you can crush any country in a matter of weeks. It just don't make sense that you can't make peace. Don't make sense that you can't make peace.
That is a great song. I've never heard that song. It's definitely one of the few blues that I really feel I had to go learn this song now.
It's a very different take on a peace song.
Yeah.
But comes out of a totally different tradition.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some weird blues verses about war.
Yeah.
Sometimes strange psychology. The old song, I got my questionnaire, baby, I'm going off to war. I get to kill somebody, don't have to break no kind of law. Which, is a pretty perceptive, chilling.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's Willie Dixon.
Well, I was. We should do Universal Soldier at some point, but I want to do. The interesting thing about Vietnam is it was primarily a young white group that opposed the war initially, and only towards the end of the time did people of color start
there was
speaking up.
Jackson State as well as Kent State.
Well, yeah, absolutely, yeah. But I wanted to do the Marvin Gaye song.
Okay. Oh yeah. That's a beautiful song. Do that song.
I want to make sure I got all the words. I think I know them all, but and I can't do the I can't do the I can't do the interlude part, but oh mother, mother, there's too many of you crying. Brother, 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 there's far too many of you dying. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Oh, Father, Father, you don't need to escalate. War is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Picket lines and picket signs don't punish me with brutality. Just talk to me so you can see what's going on. What's going on? What's going on? Mother, mother, everybody thinks we're wrong. Oh, but who are they to judge us just because our hair is long? You know we've got to find a way to bring some understanding here today. Oh, picket lines, picket signs don't punish me with brutality. Just talk to me so you can see what's going on. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
I do remember running right out and buying that album
Yeah.
when it came out. I
Yeah.
don't remember when it was, but it was just a beautiful, beautiful
Yeah,
piece
it's
of music.
yeah, and then I can't remember who did the war. What is it good for? Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
nothing.
yeah, no.
Do you remember who did that?
I should Edwin. I should remember because Larry and Leslie and I used to do that.
Oh really? Oh, that's
song.
cool.
We
Yeah.
did a cappella.
Yeah. Yeah,
just-
I can't
just
imagine playing it actually.
Just with percussion.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that iconic picture that was on the front page of the Bangor Daily News of me, Larry, and Leslie playing at the Iraq demonstration?
No, I didn't see it. Oh, that's
we,
great.
We did that song there as amongst.
Yeah.
We weren't doing it when they took the picture, but that's a great song.
Yeah.
Oh.
Got others?
Unfortunately,
I have plenty.
yeah, no, you can.
Well, the truth is, we for a long time did a Martin Luther King Day sing-along for peace and social justice. We actually were the first group in Maine that started that in '83. So I've collected anti-war and social justice, pro-social justice songs for really a long time. So I've got a lot of them that I've gotten. So you got another song, and then I'll do. Okay, I'll just do one more, and then we can think about where we should go.
You can do. You want to do one more?
Okay, I'll do one more.
Just
Okay.
do one more. I was thinking of a song that I wrote that mentions Vietnam. I wrote back in those days. It's not really about Vietnam, but I'm not sure I can play it. I haven't played it for a long, long time.
We'll make allowances, Joe. Well, this is the Country Joe and the Fish song.
Oh yeah. That's a great song.
Well, actually, they did another one, which is I'm not going to do, but it's never mind. We'll just do "Fixin' to Die Rag."
Fixing to Die
This is
Rag.
the famous Fish cheer. Give me an F, give me a U, give me a C, give me a K. Oh well, come on, all of you big strong men. Uncle Sam needs your help again. He's got himself in a terrible jam, way out yonder in Vietnam. So put down your books and pick up a gun. We're gonna have a whole lot of fun. And it's 1, 2, 3, what are we fighting for? Don't ask me, I don't give a damn. Next stop is Vietnam. And it's 5, 6, 7, open up your pearly gates. Ain't no time to wonder why, we're all gonna die. Well, come on, Wall Street, don't be slow. Why, man, this is war or go-go. There's lots of good money to be made by supplying the army with the tools of their trade. Just hope and pray that when they drop the bomb, they drop it on the Viet Cong. And it's 1, 2, 3, what are we fighting for? Don't ask me, I don't give a damn. Next stop is Vietnam. And it's 5, 6, 7, open up your pearly gates. Ain't no time to wonder why, we're all gonna die. Well, come on, generals, let's move fast. Your big chance has come at last. Now you can go out and get them reds, 'cause the only good Tommy is the one that's dead. You know that peace can only be won when you've blown them all the kingdom come. And it's 1, 2, 3, what are we fighting for? Don't ask me, I don't give a damn. Next stop is Vietnam. And it's 5, 6, 7, open up your pearly gates. Ain't no time to wonder why, we're all gonna die. Well, come on, mothers through the land, pack your boys off to Vietnam. Come on, fathers, don't hesitate. Send your sons off before it's too late. You can be the first ones on your block to have your kid come home in a box. And it's 1, 2, 3, what are we fighting for? Don't ask me, I don't give a damn. Next stop is Vietnam. And it's 5, 6, 7, open up your pearly gates. Ain't no time to wonder why, we're all gonna die.
Country Joe and the Fish.
Yeah. So do the song that you might remember.
Yeah, I might remember, and I'm just realizing now, this song I wrote when it was apparent that, to me, that Nixon was going to win re-election, and people were still into the revolution. I was thinking, shuffle down the sidewalk, kicking old tin cans, eyes buried in the ground and their heads buried in their hands. Yet I can't find a soul who'll admit they're not satisfied. When things get rough, you just hang tough and bottle it up inside. My friend, 1950's coming back again, creeping up like a cop on a crook. Reach out behind you, better take a look. Can't see no solution. I believe we lost the revolution, my friend. 1950's coming back again. Idle talk, they tell you a lot about freedom, then they watch you like a hawk. Don't step out of line, learn to accept your fate. If you still seem to care when things are unfair, you can always meditate. Better watch out, my friend, 1950's coming back again, creeping up like a cop on a crook. Tap behind you, better take a look. Can't see no solution. I believe we lost revolution, my friends. 1950s coming back again. You don't have to cut your hair now, 'cause anyone can wear it long. You don't have to talk about Vietnam, because everybody knows it was wrong. Relax, you tell me, there was nothing we could change. Turn to God, get a job, come in out of the rain. Better watch out, my friend, 1950s coming back again. Creeping up like a cop on a crook. Reach out behind you, better take a look. Can't see no solution. I believe we lost the revolution, my friend. The 1950s coming back again.
That's a really great song, Judd.
People
It's-
didn't like it when I played that song back in 1971 or 72.
Yeah,
and it,
yeah, you know, but it's true that it is what happened. You know, it's really too bad. I mean, we all felt we were doing something that was going to make this major change, and then it didn't, and then I think people lost hope.
you know,
Yeah.
where I thought about that song was we did a demonstration. This is probably 1971, 72, probably 1972. And the idea was we would go down and ring the government center building in Boston and prevent the federal workers from going in so they couldn't carry on a day's work while we were killing children over in Vietnam. Of course, we got up late, and by the time we got there, they were all inside. So we ring the building anyway, and they weren't getting any work done. All the federal workers were in the windows looking down at us ringing the building with them inside. And the police were here and there. They were mostly pretty good. They hit a few people, but it was apparent that we weren't really doing anything. So a smaller group, about maybe 200 of us, broke off. And the idea was, we're going to go sit down in the middle of Tremont Street in downtown Boston. That'll get their attention. Okay? And the idea was, if you didn't get arrested, the news didn't report it.
Right.
So we're all going to get arrested. We're going to sit down in the middle of Tremont Street. And we did. We sat down in the middle of Tremont Street and totally stopped traffic in downtown Boston. Because if you stop Tremont Street, nobody has it,
Right.
can go anywhere. And the police came, and the police lieutenant or whatever he was actually really good. And he, with a bullhorn, he told us, look, we understand what you're doing. A lot of people on the force are really against the war. That's where the line, you don't have to talk about Vietnam because everybody knows it was wrong,
Yeah.
came from. And he said, if you just go peacefully, we'll arrest you. We understand that's the purpose. And that was fine. So the police came through and arrested people, and I volunteered. My friend Garrett was taken away, and I was next, right behind him. And so the next cop, I said, well, I'll go with you because I'll be in the same paddy wagon as my friend. But he had an older woman by his other hand who was hobbling a little bit, because this was old peaceniks as well as young folks. And he took us to the back of the paddy wagon, and she couldn't climb in. Okay, because she was, so he took his hand off me and he helped her into the paddy wagon, and then he forgot me, and he went away. So I'm standing at the back of a paddy wagon in the middle of Tremont Street, and they're all coming and putting people into the paddy wagon, all the cops, and then they drove off, and I'm still in the middle of Tremont Street. I couldn't get arrested, so I just went back, and it was for good reason, for personal reasons, but that was my attempt to get arrested, and was sort of the genesis of that
Yeah,
song.
it's a good song, and it does. I think we're going to end up pulling in many more of these songs as we do stuff in the future. But I think that's one of the things is it's like a shame it didn't have more of an effect.
Yeah.
So I brought my banjo today, and I want to do just one song that we can go out on.
Play the banjo.
So as I said, we did a Martin Luther King Day sing along for peace and social
Here,
justice.
I'll hold your guitar.
No, that's fine. It's okay there.
It's okay?
It's okay there. But the first one we did was in '83, I think, or '84, before the actual Martin Luther King Day holiday went into effect. And we were at the Machias Grange, and we'd put out the word to our group of friends, and we thought
You were well connected in the Washington County Underground.
yeah, but there was it was just 15 of us.
You, Fred,
Right.
Joyce, Alan.
Right. Yep. Anyway, I didn't have any. I mean, I was the only one that could play an instrument, so I was the song leader. And I made up songbooks and stuff. So, but I remember distinctly starting this song and having everybody join in, and what a wonderful feeling that was. So I want to go out with this song, which is "Study War No More."
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. I'm gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. 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 Gonna study war no more. I'm gonna walk with the Prince of Peace down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna walk with the Prince of Peace down by the riverside. I'm gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. 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 I'm gonna shake hands around the world, down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna shake hands around the world, down by the riverside. I'm gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. 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 So next week or next time we're gonna do kids songs.
Kids songs we sang to our children.
Okay, cool. Thanks for watching, and join us next time.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Karen.